Hi guys, I know there was quite some controversy about me saying PK is the best deck, so I just thought I'd make a little video of going over the outs to PK and Scythe in general because that's pretty much the floodgate. That's their win con that says you lose the game if you went second. So I just compiled a list because some of these cards I feel like people aren't aware of like what their actual power level is when it comes to playing against the PK matchup, and I just I realize some people are catching on to some of these, but not everyone is, so I just want to give some info. So first we have what I think is the best card on this list, and what actually makes me think that PK is going to actually have trouble, and that is Super Poly. Super Poly is really good because it's the OG Forbidden Droplet. They can't respond to it. They have their DP usually and their the 3300 guy and Rusty Blade. And you use your turn player priority draw phase, you go Super Poly, and then you make this guy, which is only two dark monsters on the field, so that's DPE and Rusty. And that's a free summon. Now they can't destroy Scythe because those are their two Scythe enablers. And it's got an effect. It's not that great of an effect, but that's pretty much the primary reason we're doing it. All you have to do is discard a card, and then we actually deal with this annoying ass floodgate. You could say you could play around it, keeping DP in a grave for until standby phase, but I doubt a lot of people are going to be doing that. I know a lot of people do actually Scythe in the main phase after you actually do some stuff, so this is going to be a real disruptor in the format. Now, is there ways they can counter it? Yes, like I just said, but another thing that I think people aren't realizing with the PK matchup is because they have the Omni Negate and the Adventure Token, that means that their board is kind of clogged. So they have, DPE is one of those monster zones, and then they have Rusty there. So they have to special summon the XYZ from Grave, and they have to special Scythe. So the original play utilizes Dagda, destroying Dagda with DPE, or even off the Rusty, and then you special Scythe back from Grave. But if you don't let them get to that point, they can't do anything, right? So they would have to get the Scythe and Grave, have Dagda. So there's not really a way to play around Super Poly, but there is ways to play around other cards. But it's not as easy as it used to be for them to play around Droplets. And that's pretty much what makes the deck so powerful, is it plays around Forbidden Droplets. Now, like I've said in the past, Forbidden Droplets I think is one of the best counter cards to them right now for that reason I just mentioned, their board being clogged and not being as easy to destroy the Dagda to special summon the Scythe from Grave. So I think that Droplets is tremendously powerful versus the deck, and I think that if enough people do play all of these outs at the YCS, the deck's going to have some trouble, and it can really lose to these cards. Next card I wanted to talk about was just Artifact Lancea. Artifact Lancea is a floodgate in a way. They need the perfect hand to not lose to it, so they need to open the right. They need to open the two level 3s because they can't search with their cloak. They can't search with gloves. They can't banish the level 3 from the graveyard. So there's a lot of things that Lancea does, but I do hesitate if it's like powerful enough. The fact that they could still summon a Verte and they're gonna have Pot of Green next turn. It's like you have to have a really good follow up if you're just relying on this one card. Droll Knockbird I think is sweet because it's assuming they don't open the right, they have to use the level 3 to banish from Grave. So as soon as they do that, you use it, and then their right is practically dead because Faithful Adventurer is the card that adds. So they'll still be able to place this with right, but they can't add the Omni Negate with it, so they would have had a hard draw it. So I think Droll is pretty cool, assuming that our opponent's not going to open the 3 of that's broken, right? So, and it just also has some utility with against the cloak, the gloves, or the boots, and it's just an overall solid card. These next cards I'm going to talk about are kind of like just assuming they have the Omni Negate, they're just hitting the Omni Negate, or they're at least baiting it out. But I think I want to just talk about how good Mystic Mine is against that deck. It's kind of like, it's just the counter floodgate, right? It's a going second card. As long as you got rid of the Omni Negate, there's not much they can do besides like chain DPE to the activation. but it's is if that's in the grave, I mean, there's just like a lot of intricate scenarios where Mystic Mind's actually a lot better than I thought it was initially. So I think it's just something to consider as a combo card, because if you open it with one of your hand traps, then it's just like kind of game, or at least it's gonna like let you really come back because they're not gonna be expecting it. Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit can actually negate the Omni Negate Griffin Rider because it's not a cost for it to send back to the deck. You know that because it says quick effects, you can shuffle this card into the deck. There's no semicolon, and if you do negate the activation, so it has to go back into the deck to actually resolve. So I think Ghost Ogre has some like practical use just because of that. It's also a level 3 Psychic tuner, so if you're playing E-Telly, it's really good. It's like I said, it's just a one of. I really dislike the one of hand traps. I mean, I can also mention Ash right now because it's kind of the similar concept. You know, you just don't let them get the Omni Negate with Ash, and unless they hard drew it, you're fine. But that's the problem with. I know people are saying that, you know, the PK deck is just full of bricks, but just like the Invoked deck, if they hard draw Invocation or they hard draw the Omni Negate, you're actually going to have trouble, and you can just lose because, you know, they drew their one of. And that scenario is going to happen like 5% of games, right? Token Collector, I think Token Collector is a little underrated versus the deck. I mean, yes, it also hits Swordsoul, so, you know, now it has more versatility. Not only that, it hits all the Brave decks because they all have to summon the token to, you know, resolve this Omni Negate. I think Token Collector is really good, though, and the reason I think it doesn't see... the reason I feel like it actually is better than something like Ghost Ogre is just because it gets you an extra monster. And, you know, utility is always good. Not only that, Token Collector always comes back. So it's a really cool card. I think that it could see more play, especially just knowing that, like, a lot of people are going to stick with their Swordsoul decks. So I think Token Collector might be one of the best, like, you know, side deck cards, considering, like, if you need that extra extender, that extra level 4. And it comes back, right? Cosmic Cyclone, for obvious reasons, it hits a set, so it's not just dead if you are able to answer Scythe. Say you draw, like, Called by the Grave, another good Scythe out, going second. You can still use Cosmic on the Fog Blades, which you might need the 1-for-1 value. As long as your deck can play with 3 cards, a lot of these cards are going to be good to go in to enable your deck to play. Now, the other card, because I already said Called By, is just Gamma. I think Gamma's super strong. The only problem being is I feel like it is kind of relying on you having another hand trap. But going second, there's definitely ways you can bait out Griffin. And then you get, you know, free level 8 Synchro in your Swordsoul deck or something like that. So it's definitely just a really good side deck card to consider, as it's already been proven to be really good versus other decks. But, yeah, I mean... That's pretty much it, but this is a lot of cards, and these are a lot of cards with, you know, different use cases, and it makes them super versatile. So I would consider putting any one of these in your deck, but just understand, you know, how it impacts your deck as well. I was going to include Dimension Shifter, but I think all the people who can play Dimension Shifter, like Floowandereeze, they know, or Madolche, they know how good that card is versus PK already, so... I just wanted to cater to, like, the people that can't even use Dimension Shifter in their deck because they get too hurt by it. But that's also a really good card. I hope you enjoyed the video. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Super Poly and also just some of these other cards and how they kind of work well together. So I hope you have a good day. Subscribe, like. I appreciate all the support I've been getting lately. It's, like, so huge to me. It's crazy. I don't even... No, but I'm going to keep doing it as long as I keep getting support. So thank you so much. Bye.